where are you going? There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. You know, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olson.
And tonight we're talking about the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft. On the horn, we have Jillian and we have Michael, and they are the proprietors and curators and all things that matter to the Buckland Museum. We just found out the Buckland is moving to much larger locations so they can showcase more of the beautiful and awesome and influential, eclectic things that they have, the artifacts. And when we were just leaving, we were talking about what they have there, and of course we covered the demon in the box, so we won't dwell on him too long. But what's the most favorite, what's the draw, what seems to be everyone's favorite artifact in the place?
Jillian?
Well, it's hard to say. Everyone has their own taste, but in the complete book of Witchcraft, Raymond Buckland's magnum opus, affectionately referred to as Big Blue because it has a blue cover. A lot of the ritual items that he has in there, and he actually has instructions on how to make them. We have them in the collection here, like a ceremonial robe and his horned helmet that he had made. Now, the horned helmet's pretty special because Buckland used to tell this story about how he woke up one day, probably around this time of year, and was like, "Oh my goodness, Samhain's coming up. I need a horn helmet. I got to start doing
one.
Stuff. I need a horn helmet. Like the god is taking over the calendar, the horn god." So, Stephen likes to joke that. So he looks in his crystal ball and he sees that Etsy isn't going to be involved for another 40 years, invented for another 40 years. But, he just was like, back then, you had to go make your own stuff. Like, you can't just go to the Witchcraft store. You can't go on Amazon.
Yeah.
So he goes to the hardware store and he sees a pile of mixing bowls. He's like, that would fit on my head. So he starts trying some mixing bowls on, and some stock boy walks by and makes fun of him, the crazy English guy putting bowls on his head. And
so he cast him into the pit of hell.
Yeah.
Be gone with you.
And then he finds one like the mythical Goldilocks, finds one that fits just right, and takes it home and puts some horns on it, and it's got a horn helmet.
Is it like a Viking horny, or is it like like
Hagar the Horrible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's this really handsome photo of it in Big Blue, and it's really fun because we'll get a lot of people in here that have been looking at Big Blue since they were teenage witches in the 80s, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Raymond Buckland's horned helmet."
Yeah. So is it safe to say that Buckland was the Elvis Presley of Wicca and witchcraft?
He was a bit of a rock star.
I was gonna say I get that off you guys. He was definitely a rock star.
Yeah,
he was
English though, so maybe he was more like
Tommy Steele.
Sorry about that, Eric. I know you're just starting to talk, and I walked right over you.
No. I was just going to ask. So what would he have done then with that helmet on his head? What would he have done?
Well, he would have been coronated because for the Samhain ritual, the year is divided up into a lot of different parts, but one of the main things is it's divided into two halves. It goes from Halloween to Beltane, May 1st, and that is when the Horn God is kind of in control of things. Think about it. When you're, it's the winter, you can't grow things, so you have to go hunting for your food, etc.
You have to use fire to cook things. You know, fire is one of the elements that represents the god. So the high priest is kind of in charge of the coven, but I remember him joking with me once where he was like, we all know the high priestess is in charge anyway. But just like most relationships.
But so the high priest would be in charge from Halloween to Beltane. So it would be a ritual essentially coronating him and coronating the Horn God.
So he's prom king of Wicca.
Prom king for 6
Pretty
months.
much. Well, I guess he'd be more like the homecoming
Okay,
king.
just kind of put it in terms I would wrap my head around. He's like the homecoming king. He was the man.
So you have the light. In essence, you have the light half of the year and you have the dark half of the year. Correct? And this would be the dark half that we're heading into.
We're heading into the dark.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here in my office above the garage and feeling my nuts getting cold.
Wow, that's fairly
it's dark.
Visual.
Yeah, well.
This is a show about witchcraft. All right, give us a couple more, one or two more of the actual Buckland himself, his own badass artifacts, and what would have been done with them.
Well, you know, it's very important with witchcraft that we talk about like both sides. So, Jillian, the high priestess headdress.
Oh yes, there's also there's the horn helmet, but there's also the high priestess has her own headdress, which has a crescent moon on it because the goddess then takes over at Beltane, and the goddess is the moon. And when you think about it, when spring comes around, that's when like babies are being born and you're starting to grow food and you're nurturing. So it's a little bit more feminine characters, for lack of a better word, feminine characters. And so we have Lady Rowan's high priestess headdress here that was, the first American Gardnerian high priestess's headdress on display. So that's pretty fantastic too.
So with the matriarchal system like witchcraft, like Wicca, this is almost like having like L. Ron Hubbard's first E-meter. It's really a beautiful like religious, like alternative religious artifact.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Eric, what was your favorite artifact in there when you walked through there?
Well, honestly, what stuck most in my mind, of course, was the demon box because it was truly haunted, and I believe that something is in there and was confined there, and that's pretty spooky, and that that dials in the most, that penetrates the thickness of my skull because of the paranormal, supernatural aspects. I loved a lot of the pop culture stuff. I love the fact that not only do you then have actual witchcraft artifacts and things that do things and things that are used to cast spells and the like, but I also liked very much the fact the way that you guys set the context for these things within pop culture. So maybe tell us a little bit. I know we were talking about silly things like black light posters because I had them. I'm that age, I had them up in my room in the 70s, and you guys had a couple of the ones that I had, and we were talking about some of that. So probably no one aspect of the pop culture stuff, but I'd love to hear what you guys think because you did a very good job of putting things in context for me and putting this history, this kind of hidden history within the bigger history of popular culture in America and the Western world. So maybe what are a few of the most significant pop culture items that you have that you think really kind of frame it very well?
All right, so pretty much my favorite piece that we have is fairly common, but I just love it so much. It's called the Kabbalah, the mysterious game that foretells the future. And it has, It's this glow-in-the-dark game, and it has 72 tarot cards that go around it that use a ball to figure for your divination part. But it's so hokey and beautiful and incredible and designed by somebody that was just like, man, I gotta go to the library and find out about this occult stuff because that's what the kids really need. And I'm gonna sculpt this beautiful, beautiful piece. And just the fact that we have one of those on display, it just brings so much joy to my heart. It's I remember finding one at the old Sweet Lorraine probably about 30 years ago, and I almost started crying because I was so happy. I had no idea what it was, but I was like, this thing is like encapsulated everything I love all into one crazy gizmo. And I know I'm getting really excited here, but sometimes my passion really spills out. It's the kind of thing that you just look at and you're like, wow, that is weird.
And that existed and was sold at toy stores.
Yeah.
In the 60s?
Yeah. So
60s,
I think it's 68.
68? Okay.
So it's like, I've had an obsession. I'm not sure where it came from with what I refer to. It's from a Throbbing Gristle song, 6660s, where it's just like, you guys were talking about the 50th anniversary of Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like it was so much better then. It's just like you could go around being spooky. You could be a member of the Process Church of the Final Judgment if you wanted to. It's Raymond Buckland was showing around, like giving lectures places. Oh man,
It was a good time.
I was born too late.
Yeah, and rock and roll was really, responding to all that and putting out some great music. And the blacklight posters, like you were saying. We have a Pro Arts blacklight poster, and that was a company actually based out of, now it's a suburb of Cleveland. It used to be farmland outside of Cleveland, but now it's a suburb.
Oh, very cool.
Do yourself a favor and Google search Pro Arts blacklight posters because you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
You will see the greatest art that's ever been shared in the world.
That's ever been blacklit.
Has ever been lit by light. Yeah.
So let's actually dig into that a bit. Why was that period? I guess we're really talking about 60s and 70s perhaps. Why was that period kind of a golden age for such things, for the combination of the spread of witchcraft and alternative religions or alternative practices and pop culture? Why was that time so magical?
I think one day you'll have to have on your show a guy named Gary Lockman. He was the original guitar player for Blondie, and he wrote a book called Turn Off Your Mind, The Dark Side of the Age of Aquarius. And it goes into all that stuff, all sorts of stuff about Marian Faithfull, seeing UFOs, Kenneth Anger, all the really, really fascinating aspects. I don't know. I wasn't born yet. I was born in 72. But I've always been kind of like looking back and just wondering how amazing it could be. I was a child of the 70s, so I grew up on In Search Of.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a weird echo of all that stuff,
Heck
and,
yeah.
I just love it to death. So speaking of In Search Of, Loch Ness, we do have some Aleister Crowley artifacts here on display, and those are a big draw for people. People come from all over. A lot of the real seeker types come in here, and they're like, Aleister Crowley, no way. And I'm like, yeah, way. We're here.
Yeah, that guy, Aleister Crowley, he was something else.
Man.
He was not only legendary in the black arts, but he was also a secret spy for the British government.
That's true. He was. I think he and Buck probably would have gotten along in some ways because Buck, he had wore a lot of different hats. Crowley had a lot of different aspects to him that are pretty fascinating. I think I don't know. He seems like he was a bit much. Probably was kind of hard to hang out with.
If you call yourself the evilest man on the planet, yeah, I'm sure you don't have a lot of friends hanging around.
You know what my daughter and her college friends would call him?